another Ultimate Access Thomas Fine Tees 10-minute video. This time the topic is Cousins Strategic Supply Wheel. I'm Sandy Hood, and the procurement area falls within Porter's value chain as one of the supporting activities. It's in the syllabus. It's in section E1, in the E1 syllabus, section D, Operations Management, looking at supply chains, and it's been tested several times, and it's been named by the examiner, which makes it quite unusual because there's not many models that the examiner names specifically. And it was in November 17 in variant 2 it was examined. Again, May 17, variant 1, variant 2, February 17, variant 1. It's a regular visitor to these exams, and in 2018 it certainly turned up in variant 5, and I've sort of built on that particular question in today's session. I think this model will be tested again soon, and August could be the time. I think procurement is unlikely to be in the context of the tea leaves. I think the tea leaves is a little bit more complex than the examiner would really want to get into, but it could certainly be for the paper that's used for the tea bags. And with that in mind, I thought about it in terms of some of the news that's been broadcast in the UK recently. And on the 25th of June, the Yorkshire Tea Company announced that they will be removing some plastic bits that were being, which have been found to be, I think, in every single tea bag except the ones that are produced for the co-op. Well, the Yorkshire Tea Company are going to join them. They're going to use a renewable plant-based material, and as such, the way that the tea bag is sealed won't require any plastic in future. And so it's very much in the news. You would get marks, certainly within the strong area, if you're able to demonstrate relevant application to the actual industry as it stands at the moment, with a good example such as that. There may be a supply problem. It could be an environmental reason. There could be protests from customers refusing to buy tea that's been put into bags that have been sealed, and there's plastic there. So there could be good reason. There are 3 key points to look for whenever you select a buyer, select a supplier. The 3 are quality, price, and continuity of supply. And we tend to think of continuity of supply in terms of, are they located nearby? Are they financially sustainable so that they're able to then continue to supply us well into the future? Cousins Strategic Supply Wheel here with the 5 spokes, central to any study of E1, and certainly this is the supply wheel that our examiner likes to test. Okay, here's my question. From Trina Yeo. She's the head of buying. Hello, finance officer. I believe that adopting the right supplier strategy, and I would like to stress that this in a presentation to senior management. I'm thinking of using Cousins Strategic Supply Wheel, as I think the 5 spokes, cost benefit, relationships, competence and skills, performance measures, and organisational structure will ensure we consider all aspects of the supply chain. Please prepare a briefing note that considers how each of the 5 spokes of Cousins Strategic Supply Wheel relate to the supply of tea bag paper. So very clear what the outcome is that she's expecting, and very much along the lines of the way that the examiner is now writing questions for us. This would be something that would be half of a section. It would be 1 task in a 2-task section. It would be worth, as I am expecting all our tasks to be about, all our sections to be about 45 minutes, so I would see this as being worth 22.5 minutes, and that would mean it was worth 12.5% of the overall exam. Yep, understanding is the key, and we need to answer the question by identifying what the question is, planning it, making sure that the plan that we do answers the actual task that we've been asked, and then quickly writing up. 8 paragraphs would be enough to earn 8 marks, and that would get to 64%, and we could be very happy. We must get the headings down. That's what our plan is all about. The question is, please prepare a briefing note that considers how each of the 5 spokes of Cousins' strategic supply wheel relate to the supply of tea bag paper. Here's our plan. We've got 5 minutes for a plan, 17 minutes to write up the answer. That adds up to 22 minutes. I always write straight on to the word processing document. I don't use a scratch pad. I think it just saves time. It's one less job to do. And then I can use the return on the computer to then add any extra rows should I need them. Straight in. Bang, 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 bang. The 5 spokes are my 5 headings. Only 5 headings? It is the number of paragraphs that's going to earn us the marks. The model offers plenty of scope for 2 or even 3 paragraphs per heading, so we've got the opportunity then to build onto these. Right, so using those 5 headings, I go straight in with a check to make sure that we're answering the task requirements. It looks as if we are, so here we go. Start writing fast, and then we can get there within the time that we're given. The benefit of the tea bag paper purchase is the opportunity it gives us to generate a profit. The cost is made up of all the costs incurred by purchasing from that supplier. This goes much further than the price that they charge us for the paper. The time we need to add the paper we receive from onto the machines, and whether we lose a proportion of the paper are all costs. We incur them, but they are caused by the supplier, but they're not paid to the supplier in the price they charge us. Section number 2, we're now looking at the supply relationships may be based on driving deals on price and can be quite adversarial. Alternatively, they may be more collaborative, where there's a joint quest to reduce costs and sharing of technology and innovation, and that's called partnership sourcing. Tea bag perforations can be used to help differentiate products. In the UK, the Tetley Tea Company used the perforations as a central point in their advertisements quite a few years ago. I don't think an aggressive look at the lowest price supplier is going to be suitable for us, so I recommend looking for a partnership sourcing relationship with our supplier. Competence and skills. These relate to our own operatives working on the tea bagging line. Cousins Wheel ensures that the selection of the appropriate supplier is done in recognition of the level of skill of the staff who will be using the tea bag paper. The machinery needs to be able to cut the paper as well. This needs to be carried out at speed and with as close to zero waste as possible. So our production will require the supplier who can produce paper of a consistent quality. Performance measures. We need to monitor supply performance in terms of how it supports our strategy. How much does a supplier help us, and how much does a supplier make it more difficult to succeed? Tea bag production is very close to just in time. The bags used must be available and ensure that we can meet our customer orders. Supply management needs to work across the different functions of an organisation. This is something where we will need the help of the board. Strategic procurement requires all affected functions, those people working in production, those people working in sales, those people working in finance, and of course Trina herself working in buying, have to work together. But we are a functionally organised organisation. So we look at the functional organisation chart, and it doesn't naturally lend itself to a working together scenario. So that might be something that we need to address. In order to select the most appropriate supplier, we must combine all our functional objectives. This is a synergy. By using the 5 spokes, we are in a much better position to achieve our overall strategy. So what have we done? We've quickly written up the series of short paragraphs. We've managed to get more than 8. We know that we're well on track to get a good mark. And what would I say now? Revise procurement. You can't help thinking it's got to be on the examiner's shortlist for a tea bag manufacturing company in D-Land. Try to imagine possible scenarios at Thomas Fine Teas and then apply your knowledge. Practice planning, practice writing up your answers. When you do your analysis, do it yourself. I hope to see you again for our next introductory recording. Thank you very much and goodbye.